Unplugging the confusion. Your guide to mixer inputs. Alright, so you're looking at your sound mixer and it's just a sea of holes, right? Jacks everywhere. XLR, quarter inch, maybe even some RCAs staring back at you. Ever been confused by all those input jacks on your sound mixer? You're definitely not alone. The good news is, it's not as complicated as it looks. Each of those inputs has a specific job, a specific type of signal it's designed to handle. Once you understand the language they're speaking, the whole process becomes way more intuitive. Today, we're breaking them down, so you never second guess again. We're going to look at the main types of inputs you'll encounter, what they expect, and why pairing the right source with the right input is so crucial for your sound quality. We'll cover mic level, line level, instrument inputs, the magic of DI boxes, and even touch on phantom power. By the end of this, you'll be able to look at any piece of gear, any cable, and know exactly where it needs to go and why. So, grab your headphones, maybe a notepad, and let's dive in and demystify these inputs for good. Alright, so first up, let's talk about mic level inputs. These are probably the ones you're most familiar with, typically using those 3-pin XLR connectors. The key thing to understand about microphone signals is that they are incredibly quiet, very low voltage. This is the fundamental characteristic that dictates how we treat them and where they need to be plugged in. If you try to send this tiny signal to an input expecting something louder, you'll barely hear a thing. That's where preamplifiers or preamps come into play. Nearly every dedicated microphone input on a mixer or audio interface has a preamp built right into its circuitry. The sole job of this preamp is to take that very weak low-level signal from your microphone and amplify it up to a more usable level. Without this crucial amplification stage, your microphone signals would be lost in the noise floor, completely unusable for recording or live sound. It's a non-negotiable step. So when you see an input labeled mic or perhaps an XLR connector paired with a gain knob, that's your cue. Alright, so now that we've covered the quiet world of mic level signals, let's move on to line level. This is, in many ways, the standard operating level for audio signals. They've been preamplified, or once they're coming out of electronic instruments and playback devices. It's a much stronger, more robust signal than mic level, by a significant margin. Devices like keyboards, synthesizers, drum machines, samplers, CD players, the output from your laptop or smartphone, via an appropriate interface or adapter, and even the main outputs from another mixer will typically output a line-level signal. These signals are already strong enough that they need the kind of intense preamplification that microphone signals require. These are often quarter-inch, 1/4-inch TRS tip ring sleeve jacks for balanced signals or TS tip sleeve jacks for unbalanced signals. Sometimes, especially on consumer or DJ gear, you might also see RCA jacks for line-level connections. The important thing is that these inputs are designed to receive that stronger signal without adding unnecessary extra gain that would cause distortion. They might have a trim control, but it will have a much less extreme range than a mic preamp's gain knob. When connecting line-level sources, you want to ensure you're using these designated inputs. Alright, so we've got mic level, which is super quiet and needs a preamp, and line level, which is the standard stronger signal. But there's another important category we need to talk about, and that's instrument level. This primarily applies to things like electric guitars and bass guitars with passive pickups. These instruments output a signal that's kind of in a weird middle ground. It's stronger than a mic signal, but usually weaker than a true line-level signal. More importantly, it has a very different electrical characteristic, high impedance. This high impedance, often abbreviated as high Z, is the crucial factor. Standard mic inputs and most line inputs are low impedance. If you plug a high impedance source like an electric guitar directly into a low impedance mic or line input, you get an impedance mismatch. This mismatch can result in a thin, weak, and lifeless tone, a significant loss of high-frequency content, and increased susceptibility to noise, especially over longer cable runs. It just won't sound like your guitar is supposed to sound. This is where the DI box, or direct input box, becomes your best friend. A DI box is a small, usually unassuming utility box that performs a critical function. It converts an unbalanced, high-impedance instrument-level signal into a balanced, low-impedance mic-level signal. This mic-level signal can then be safely and effectively plugged into a standard XLR microphone input on your mixer, where the preamp can then bring it up to line level cleanly. It's an essential impedance and level matching device. Alright, so let's tackle one more crucial input-related topic. Phantom power. You've probably seen that button on your mixer or audio interface, often labeled plus 48V or with a little microphone icon and P48. This is a feature that sends a DC voltage, typically 48 volts, hence the name, through the microphone cable to power microphones that require it. It's phantom because it uses the same wires that carry the audio signal, so there's no need for a separate power cable for the mic itself. Pretty clever. The primary type of microphone that requires phantom power is the condenser microphone. Condenser mics have active electronics inside them, usually a small preamplifier circuit and a capsule that needs a polarizing voltage. Without phantom power, these microphones simply won't work, or they'll produce a very weak, distorted, or no signal at all. So if you're using a condenser mic, whether it's a large diaphragm studio vocal mic, or a small diaphragm pencil condenser for overheads, you almost certainly need to engage that plus 48V switch for its input channel. Now, what about other types of microphones? Dynamic microphones like the Shure SM58 or SM57 do not require phantom power. They generate their signal through electromagnetic induction and have no active internal circuitry needing external voltage. In most cases, applying phantom power to a modern balanced dynamic microphone will not harm it. The voltage is applied equally to pins 2 and 3 of the XLR, and since the dynamic mic's coil is isolated, no current flows. However, it's generally good practice to only engage phantom power when it's actually needed. The situation is different and potentially risky for some other types of microphones, particularly older ribbon microphones. Many vintage ribbon mics can be damaged by phantom power if the cable is wired incorrectly, or if there's a fault. The delicate ribbon element can be stretched or even destroyed by the voltage. So, there you have it, a dive into the world of mixer inputs. Mic levels, line levels, instrument levels, DI boxes, phantom power. It might have seemed like a lot to juggle before, but hopefully, things are much clearer now. Inputs can be confusing, but once you know the basics, you're golden. Understanding what each input expects in terms of signal level and impedance is honestly half the battle in achieving clean, professional-sounding audio. You now have the foundational knowledge to make the right connections every single time. Remember, matching your source to the correct input type isn't just about getting a sound, it's about getting the best possible sound your gear is capable of producing. It's about respecting the signal path and ensuring each component is working in its optimal range. So, take this knowledge, apply it, and listen to the improvement in clarity and fidelity. It's pretty satisfying when it all just clicks into place, both literally and figuratively. And that's pretty much it for this one. I hope this breakdown helps you approach your mixer with a newfound confidence. Next week, we'll dive into cables and connectors, another hidden cause of sound issues. If you found this video helpful, definitely hit that like button, subscribe for more audio wisdom from Sound Desk Mastery, and hey, comment a time you used the wrong input. We've all been there.